We're sisters, best friends, and authors on a mission to help you stoke your creative fire and live the life of your dreams. We believe that purpose fuels passion and that creativity is your secret weapon for mass construction. There's never been a better time to bless the world with your dream realized. You're listening to The Kate and Abbie Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Kate and Abbie Show. This is episode 24, and today we're talking about reviews, what kind of relationship you should have with reviews as a writer, how to read reviews, when you shouldn't read reviews, and why it might be beneficial to not be scrolling through the review section of your GoodReads published book. So, let's kick it off.
Let's get into it, man. I think this is something that a lot of especially new authors, but also seasoned authors, can get a little too caught up in and get discouraged by and just kind of get psyched out of like scrolling through the GoodReads page. And that GoodReads page, it's a tempting little rabbit hole, but you don't want to fall down the rabbit hole because it leads to all kinds of things that can be detrimental to your creativity, to your writing practice, to your happiness. So I know I have a interesting story, sort of backstory to do with reading reviews. And that is when I first published my debut novel, 100 Days of Sunlight, last year in August, I would read literally every review that would come in for that book. Like I think it was like the first month or maybe the first 2 months that it was, and this was like before it was published. So some of these were my street team, ARC team reviews. And I would read every single one, like not notes from the ARC team. That's a different thing. We're going to talk about that, but reviews. And I was noticing that it really affected me like in a negative way. Like it got to the point where I would get a notification every time somebody posted a review, and I would go,
"Oh my gosh, you had it set up to get notifications."
Yes.
Dang.
So I would stop everything every time and go and read the review. And if it was positive, it was like really good, 5 stars, it made me really happy. If it was negative, like 1 star, I hated this book, I didn't like anything about it, like ripping and tearing it, it would really, really bother me. And for hours, even days sometimes. And I started to realize like, okay, this is a problem. Like I'm letting these reviews fluctuate how I feel about my book and my writing and my just how I feel in general. Like if I'm happy or if I'm annoyed or discouraged, that is like completely based off of what I read in that person's review. And that is where it kind of hit me like a little bit of a wake up call of like, whoa, okay, Abbie, we need to do something differently here. Like, I don't know, have you gone through anything like that? I don't want to keep rambling on and on about my thing before we go into like the principles, but what did you experience when you first published your book, your relationship with reviews coming in?
Well, I like have a really laid back approach to writing and to reviews and publishing and stuff, and I never really cared. And
so when they first started coming in, like for the blood race, did you read any?
I didn't really read much of any. I read like the first few, like like ARC readers who would like, a lot of them were people that I knew.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I'd go and then I'd thank them, and be like, hey, I saw your review. Thank you so much. And I only did that for a very short amount of time though. And like, even for the, like when I did blog tours and stuff for the first and second books, I can't remember which ones I did blog tours for. I think it was the first one. I only read like maybe a couple of the reviews. Mostly I just go comment and like thank them for being part of it. But I wouldn't read what they had to say like explicitly about the book unless they were someone that I knew like really well or like they were friends. So of course I was going to give them more like personal attention.
Right.
Because I wanted to see like what they said, as a buddy and someone I've known. But if it was someone I didn't know, I wouldn't read it because I'm like, whether it's good or bad, I don't want it to be in the back of my mind. So it was no disrespect to them as a reviewer or as a reader at all. And actually, we had a commenter on the last video where, no, actually it was I think it was a couple videos ago. Anyway, someone had commented and paraphrasing what they said, and I thought it was really right on. It was something about how really don't spend any time reading reviews, even if they're good or bad, because it's going to still stick in your mind and affect you. And what they were saying is something that I've heard from motivational speakers. I listen to quite a few podcasts that have motivational speakers, also former military members. And one of these podcasts, a former Navy SEAL was talking about something that he called the disease of victory, and how this is a common term that's used in combat because like you have a victory and a mission, and that's like, oh yeah, we're doing really good. We're accomplishing the mission. And now we can now we subconsciously are like so caught up in how good we're doing that now our guard goes down a little bit.
Yeah.
And, we take a moment to kind of like relax. And he was saying how in combat, you can never do that. You always have to be on your guard and you always have to be ready to defend. Yeah. And I thought that, and he was applying that to how you can use it in the business world too, and in life. And I thought that's so profound. And I apply that to my writing career because I don't want to see tons of 5-star reviews, however much I appreciate them. By the way, so much. They're very meaningful to authors, but I don't want to read them and get caught up in the disease of victory of, oh, see, all these people like what I'm writing. Oh, see, I'm going to just keep going with this genre. This is what people like. I'm just going to keep doing this. Because it kind of, even if you say that it's not affecting you or you're trying not to let it affect you, it'll still be there in the back of your mind, even if they're positive reviews of like, oh, people really like this character. Maybe I should write more characters like that. Or, I'm doing really good. And you kind of maybe try a little less.
You spend time on reading what they have to say. And the thing that occurred to me, the little epiphany I had at one point was anything that I'm spending my time on, literally anything, this applies to everything you spend your time on, you are silently saying, this matters to me. In fact, this matters to me more than anything else in the world matters to me right now because I chose to read this review instead of do anything else.
Wow, that's a profound thought.
Yeah, like think about all the things you do all day like that, and it'll kind of drive you nuts. So probably don't do that a lot. But like it's good to think of it. But it can help you
to be more disciplined.
Yeah, be more disciplined, be more prioritized in what matters to you. But that's kind of the thought that occurred to me is like, does this person's opinion matter to me more than literally anything that I drop everything to read their review? No, I don't even know who they are. Like most of the people, I don't really know. I don't know who they are. It's just a name that popped into my inbox and it's like, this person posted a review. And whether it's 1 star, 2 star, or up to 5 stars, what they said, and I don't even know this person, but what they said would affect the way I felt about myself and about my book and my writing in general. And it got to the point where I was like, this is a big problem because I am letting this determine how I feel. And this is kind of starting to like rule my emotions and my life in that way. And I had to go through a process of like physically preventing myself from looking at them, which was like, it was kind of difficult at the time because it was like such a habit. I'd ingrained it as such a habit. And I was, I would say that I was very insecure in those first few weeks and first months of putting my work out there. And I feel like a lot of authors probably feel the same way. I know I'm not alone.
For sure.
That you're like, oh, will they like it? What if they don't like it? I need for people to like what I'm writing. But you don't need to know what they're saying every minute. So I had to stop myself from opening the emails. I actually redirected the emails to another email. And I stopped opening the emails. I stopped going on GoodReads. And for a while, I had to literally force myself to not click on the reviews, not look at them. And through a period of doing that, I was able to make that not matter to me anymore.
Good. That's awesome.
And not to say that I want to pause here and say that good reviews still matter to me, of course. Like Katie said, they matter so much. They help to create good conversation about my book, and like literally I would be nothing without that. Like,
right.
We would be nothing, especially as indie authors. Like, we'd be nothing. We'd go nowhere without our reviews.
Yeah, really. And even going beyond indie, really any published author,
really,
because like, who the reviews are vitally important to the author, even if they never read them, because
Yes.
what reviews really function as is helping new customers decide whether they're going to read the book. So the review isn't for me to read and feel good or bad about. It's for a potential reader
Yes.
to be able to see, okay, what is this book? I might buy it for me. I might buy it for my kid. What is it? What's in it? What's the content? So that's what reviews help to do. So if you're like someone who writes incredible prose, the review and the reviews are saying that, the potential readers can be like, oh, wow, I want to read some of those cool prose everyone's saying this book has. So it really helps with that, and it helps with ranking, and it helps create conversation. It helps with moving books into, there's all kinds of algorithms in these in these websites, like waving my hands trying to think of how to describe the mythical
Algorithms.
algorithms.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to navigate, but having positive reviews being posted, ratings, things like that will help your favorite authors be able to be found by readers, and that's important.
Yeah. And when people write reviews, when you write a review as a reader, you're not expecting the author to read it. Like, when's the last time you wrote a review for a book, especially a popular book, and you're like, oh, the author's probably going to read my review. Like, you don't expect them to read your review, and you
Right.
don't write it as a letter to them. Now, that being said, there is a time and a place to write a letter to the author and tell them about content in their book that you think could be improved. And that is, the time and place to do that is when you are an ARC reader or you are a beta reader for an author. So my beta readers, of course, they get the absolute top priority, and I want to have a lot of discussion with them about what the content of my book is and how it can be improved before it goes to the publishing stage. ARC readers are the same way. I'm not talking about ARC reviews that get posted publicly. I'm talking about ARC notes to the author. So letters, emails, things that your ARC readers will specifically send you privately and say to you, okay, so I think this, and this, and I'm not just talking about like typos and stuff like that. Like, that's good to catch too. Good for your ARC readers to point out those things to you. But developmental things, I had letters from my ARC readers that I read because they were private messages to me. I mean, I was in the process of reading those reviews as well, but I could have gleaned all of the good information that was actually constructive to making my book better without reading the reviews that were posted publicly, if that makes sense.
It does, totally.
The people who really care, I guess, long story short, the ARC readers who really care about improving the message and the integrity of your book and making it the best it can be, and they actually want to see your book succeed, they will privately message you, get in touch with you, or get in touch with your publisher and tell you positive but constructive critiquing feedback. So those letters are invaluable because those are the things that are going to improve your book. You can take them and be like, okay, cool. From an impartial perspective, I can now look at my book differently and consider changing some things before I publish it and put it out into the world. Because once you publish it and put it out into the world, and then, you go start reading negative reviews or reviews that are like, oh, they should have done this. Oh, I didn't like this. Oh, this was stupid or this was unrealistic. It's kind of too late to change anything, even if you want to, because the book is published, it's distributed, and anybody who writes a negative review after the book is published and they're like, this should have happened. I didn't like this. I thought this was, the author should take this out. Like, it's too late, okay? I'm sorry that you weren't an ARC reader. I'm sorry you weren't chosen to be an ARC reader. I'm sorry you weren't chosen to be a beta reader for this author. But you just being a customer of the book, it's too late for you to persuade the author to do something different with their book.
Yeah, for sure. And so that just it becomes no longer constructive because it can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like telling me to put something in a recipe that I've already made and am already eating. Yeah. So it's too late.
Like you should have put some almond extract in this cake.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how am I going to do that now? The cake is done.
It's half
consuming
eaten.
it.
Everyone's eating it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like I was thinking of
and ARC, that's a perfect analogy. Yeah. Like ARC readers are like the ones that catch you before you like put it in the oven.
Yes.
Like, oh, you should put some of that in there. Oh, good idea. And then you put it in.
Or
and
like, I was thinking maybe
last minute makes it the best it can possibly be.
even better food analogy would be like, I was literally thinking of this while you were talking. Like, so let's say you're going to open like your own pizzeria, okay, with your own special recipe for a pizza. And so you make some pizzas and then you invite like taste tester buddies over to have some slices, try a bunch of different ones and tell me what you think of them.
Yeah.
So those are your ARC readers. So now, like, and
Let's make this whole thing a pizza analogy.
yeah. So like, so there are some ARC readers that just come for the free pizza and they just eat it and are like, thanks for the free pizza and leave. And they leave you like a 5-star on like Google or something. But what we really want is, well, that's fine. We appreciate it. But what we really want is like your taste notes.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it a good pizza, man? Come on, tell me. Is it good? What does it taste like? How's the sauce? How's the cheese? Too much cheese? Not enough cheese?
Yeah. How could it be improved?
How could it be improved?
Exactly.
So then when people start giving you like, this is good, but if you like put a little basil on top, a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Okay, you're making me hungry now.
And now you're like, oh, okay, yeah. I see how that's going to improve the thing that I already have and make it just that much better.
And if you don't have that, if you're just like, I'm going to, here's the pizza, I'm going to open up shop. And then everybody comes in and they kind of are like, oh, this is kind of lousy. And they give you like 2 stars on Yelp and then you don't get a lot of business. It's like, I should have had some taste testers come and give me some feedback.
Right.
Some people who could advise me. That being said, even if after you have your ARC readers and your beta readers and you put your book out in the world and like all you get is negative reviews, it might be time to like think about how you could improve this story.
Right. Especially if you felt like you rushed through some of it. Yeah. If you cut corners and now you're experiencing bad reviews.
Like tons of them.
Yeah, like tons
mostly
of them. We're not talking
reviews.
about like, 5 whole people. 5 whole
exactly.
people. 5 whole readers left a bad review. We're not talking about that.
Which actually, one thing that I would say is totally fine for authors to look at if you like feel like I have to look at some feedback because I need to know if the public likes my stuff, then just go to GoodReads or whatever platform is having your book reviews on it and look at the top of the page. You can see the star rating, the quantity of how many people give it what star rating. And so if you have the most percentage, if the highest percentage is 4 or 5 stars, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you need to know. Most of the time it'll end up being like 2 to 3 to 5% give it lower than 3 stars. And that's nothing. Like,
and also
you can't write a book that everybody likes.
Yeah. You can't take everyone's advice either.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
exactly.
you'll just do it forever. You'll edit a book forever until it's eventually a blank page again.
You might have people giving you giving your pizza place a 2-star review on Yelp because they don't like pizza.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna have those people.
So how are you gonna please them?
Don't change that for them when they go on and they're like, you know what? I thought this pizza sucked because I hate pizza anyway. Well, then what are you doing?
Exactly.
Go somewhere else. So you can't base your judgment on your book off of that one person who like doesn't like pizza leaving a review. And the thing too is like you can also judge how people are going to react, kind of get a good feel for how people are going to respond to your book and rate your book if you have those taste testers. Yeah. Because, for example, how do you not open your pizza place on opening day and be like, oh, what if it doesn't taste good? Yeah. You won't ever have that nervous feeling if it's already been tested. Everyone's already eaten it. It's good. We're good to go. Proven. Now, if you had no one's even tried it, you have barely even tasted it yourself, then you're a little bit more nervous. But if you want to eliminate that, you will see the feedback coming in from your ARC readers. And when your ARC readers are like, dang, this is great, your readers aren't going to, they're not going to be any different. They're going to be relatively the same. Yeah. And with the same ratios, just more.
Right. Yeah. And like literally every business everywhere, every person who's selling anything, whether it's a book or merchandise in a store or food at a restaurant, they don't have to have everybody like it. Like all they exist on and run their business on the percentage of people who do like it and who do patronize them, and that is all you really need.
Exactly.
That's really all you need, because there's no such thing as a perfect story that everybody likes. It's just not ever going to happen.
Right.
So needless to say, I do not read reviews obsessively anymore. I still read some reviews for the sake of promotional material to use to promote my book. So I will go through reviews and comb them for certain quotes that I'll use in advertising and paid promotion and stuff like that. And that's important to do, and to save those really good quotes from your readers for materials like that. But when I see a negative review or a 1-star review, I never read them. And if I like happen to scroll by one, I'm just like, whatever. It doesn't even like affect how I feel anymore, which is, it just feels like a good, a lot of progress definitely for myself personally. Because like I said, when I first published 100 Days of Sunlight, and I haven't really ever shared this. So this is like a super vulnerable moment.
Vulnerable moment.
I've never shared this, but I think it's important to share, because I feel like a lot of authors probably experience this.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this feeling of insecurity of like, oh my gosh, not everybody likes my thing. And I have this obsession with being perfect. So it's like, it's just like,
it's and I think a lot of writers are perfectionists too.
Yeah,
like it seems like a high ratio
Yeah.
of writers are perfectionists. Like when I go on a Writer's Life Wednesday video and scroll through the comments, I see people like ripping their hair out over making their book perfect. I'm like, wow, this is like where all the perfectionists like hang out and cry together.
It's a perfectionist's profession.
It is.
Sure.
And I think also with releasing your first book, it's a little more scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that like saying that's out there about like, oh, you know, your first child, you're like freaked out over every little thing. And then the second child, you're like, oh, we're a little more lenient. And then the third child, you're like, oh, it's fine.
Exactly.
You know, don't worry about it. So it's like the first baby, you're like, I'm sending my baby out into the world. Your book is your baby, and you're scared to let it go.
Yeah.
So, and you're also concerned about the feedback coming in.
Right.
So I think if you can kind of get that under control like you did, which is awesome to be able to do that. And I definitely read, like I said, I read a couple reviews that came in on the first one, because it's like you're curious and you're excited and you're also nervous, and there's like all these different emotions, and you're just like, oh, la, 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 la. And you don't really know what to do with yourself. But I think that's a good idea. If you like need to see, you know, read a couple 5 stars.
Yeah.
And read your ARC reviews, and that's going to give you a good feel for how people are going to review it. And if you really need to see more, then that was a good idea to go on GoodReads and see
just like see the percentage.
See the percentages, because that's really
majority likes
what
it,
you're
good to
looking
go.
for. Yeah. And then like for the digital minimalists listening like me, and Abby's digitally minimal. You're pretty digital. You're kind of a digital minimalist too.
Yeah.
But I am kind of to the point where like if I am using reviews for promotional material, which I think this is important to address because you will need to use reviews for promotional material. I have someone else do that for me, select reviews, which happens to be Abby. I usually ask Abby, hey, Abby, you know my books, you know what they're about, you know what would be good to have. Can you just scroll through my reviews and pick a few quotes that you think are good that I can use for promotional material? And Abby does that for me and just, goes through a few of them and picks those things. So that's, I think, something you can also do if you're like, I really don't feel comfortable scrolling through reviews and having to sift through all of that. And I don't want to deal with, like I said, either being like super like sad over it, bummed out, or getting like, little bit of disease of victory going on, being too like inflated ego. My ego is blown up like a hot air balloon over here. If you want to avoid all that, you can have someone else collect that for you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I would recommend that for sure to every author. And also, you're probably going to get so busy with the writing process and everything else that you'll need somebody else to do it for you. Yeah. Not that I have a bunch of free time on my hands.
Yeah. No.
but I me and Katie help each other out with everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the letters, I would say the private messages really emphasize that the private messages that your ARC readers send you are going to be the most valuable feedback you get before you publish your book. So definitely pay attention to those. Encourage your ARC readers to message you privately if you think that they have, or if they have some critiques that they think would improve the book. Definitely be open-minded to that kind of feedback. But somebody who is just going to publicly, rip and tear your book, you don't need to look at that. You don't need to read that. It's not going to help you, especially if your book's already published. You can't win everybody, and you can't make everybody like your book. If the majority likes it, you're doing great. And there's this great quote. I don't know who said it, but it goes something like, don't be afraid of people who, attack you or say negative things about you, because for some people, the only taste of victory they get is to take a bite out of somebody else. So
wow, that's an interesting quote.
And it's pretty true. I mean, I've definitely seen that with some readers just they're not really happy with any of the books they read. So you have to also take everything with a grain of salt. But the people who really want to see your book succeed and who understand your message and where you're coming from, you'll know who they are.
Yeah, that's absolutely right on.
Also, you'll probably get a lot of great private messages and emails from people who loved your book and it touched them in a special way that they don't even want to post about publicly online, but they want to privately share with you. I've had so many letters like that about 100 Days of Sunlight, and I cherish those letters, and I actually print them off and have them in a folder that I read those when I really want a boost of inspiration, because that matters more to me than somebody just praising the book to high heavens. Like, it matters way more to me to know that it inspired somebody in a personal way because of something that they're personally going through.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, those are amazing. That's awesome when you can get just a personal letter from someone and read that without it being just something online that's posted on there. Is really powerful.
It is. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, we covered a lot in this one. So to recap, trust yourself. Don't get too caught up in the reviews. You're never going to please anyone. If you need to read some reviews, listen to your A or C readers, your beta readers, people who want to see your book succeed and who have criticism, but in a positive way. Yeah. And keep writing your book. Keep writing your book. Keep writing good books. Keep being confident. And if you want to get more confident, go back and listen to the episode before this one, because we talk all about believing in yourself as a writer, our most listened to episode of the podcast so far. You guys, thank you so much for the amazing response on that one. We will definitely be doing more motivational episodes, especially heading into NaNoWriMo. I think you guys are going to need some pumped up motivation.
For sure.
If you want to support the podcast, you can do so at
patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show. Get backstage passes to the show and voting power and shout outs and all kinds of cool stuff. Plus, just support our show and keep it ad and sponsorship free. Check that out for sure. Also, check out Kate's YouTube channel if you haven't seen the video version of the podcast. If you're listening to it on a different platform, that is youtube.com/KA Emmons. And of course, my channel, Writer's Life Wednesdays, is youtube.com/Abbie Emmons.
We hope you guys enjoyed this one, got something out of it. Comment below on YouTube and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We love seeing you all inspiring each other and getting each other super stoked to write more good books. Until the next episode, my friends, rock on.
Rock on. That's mine. I'm converting her to be a rock on person.
I totally didn't even think just then. Like that was 100% authentic. That was not a thought.
I've converted her.
That was not a premeditated joke. Should we switch it up for this episode?
Yeah, let's.
Till next time, my friends. Rock on.